Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guests, Rhonda Halbert. And they're here to share with us their audiobook, Caretaker. So what if you can experience a story so vivid it feels like stepping into a movie? Well, today, this dynamic husband and wife team are here to share with us the star-studded audiobook. Jason Halbert is an Emmy and Grammy Award-winning producer and songwriter. His songs have reached millions of listeners worldwide through multiple #1 and platinum-selling albums. In addition to his 20-plus-year career as music director and producer for The Kelly Clarkson Show and several other notable artists, he has left his unique creative mark on numerous works in film and television. After homeschooling their 2 children around the world on a tour bus, Rhonda Halbert has spent the past 10 years as a successful music and television manager, guiding her clients' relationships with labels, networks, and producers. She's also a published photographer, music supervisor, passionate cook, garden enthusiast, and spiritual practitioner. So welcome to the show, Jason and Rhonda Halbert.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting us.
Thanks for having us again.
Well, it's always such an honor to spend time with the both of you. I can't wait to dive more into the Caretaker audiobook. But before we do that, can you share a little bit about the story with us?
Sure, it's a supernatural thriller. It's part of a trilogy. Caretaker is book 1 in the trilogy, and it's fiction, but loosely based on some real life experiences that we've had. We from 2020 to the present, our family has experienced a lot of trauma and loss, and we decided to pour ourselves into this fantasy world to help us process it all. And this beautiful story has emerged from it. And we're first-time authors, and we put Caretaker out May of last year.
Yeah, 24.
And wow, it's been quite a journey. And we have book 2 coming out in November. But yeah, that's kind of how we got started on it.
And can you share a little bit about the story with us?
Yeah, so it's about a modern day family that realizes they need something new in their life. There's just been some trouble going on in the family and with the kids. And so the mother gets this urging that there just needs to be a new direction to go into. So she starts looking for a new place to live, finds a house online, takes her family to go visit the house. And as they go and visit, she feels and senses this really deep connection to the house. And everybody else in the family loves it too, but book 1 kind of dives into why they're there. And it has a lot to do with the mother feeling connected to the house. Now, what the family doesn't know until they get there is this is a supernatural thriller. So there are crazy things that starts to happen with the house. And it affects the family in what the reader could initially feel it's a negative thing. But my hope is that Jason and I wrote the story to make the reader feel that, but then in the end, maybe make you question your first initial reaction of, well, is the house there to hurt them, or is it actually there to help them? And that's like the big lingering question that I hope we left with it.
Oh, you did. And like many people, when I finished the first book, and I can't wait to get my hands on the second one, but when I finished Caretaker, I was upset because I was like, there's got to be more.
We did tend to upset many readers, and I'm just going to apologize, but also not apologize, because that was the whole intent, was to leave the questions. I know that probably most publishers would say that it wasn't the best thing to do as authors. And Jason and I kind of like to swim upstream when it comes to traditional patterns. And we felt really compelled to write this book that wasn't finished. And the intent that we've told everyone along the way is this is a trilogy. So hang in there. Those questions are going to be answered, and there's going to be a lot of thrilling ride that happens to get to that final book.
That is so exciting. Well, I want to dive into the book cover. I mean, there's a lot going on here. Can you share with us the symbolism on the book cover?
Yeah, the book cover is an Ouroboros, which is an ancient symbol, and it has a lot of meanings to different cultures. I think I was first time I saw that symbol was on the TV series Lost, which was highly influential to me. But it's a symbol of the cycles of life, and things that were becoming again, and the starting over, and death and rebirth. And it seems like an odd symbol to take on for a book about a family moving to a new home. But it's part of the deeper mystery of the story. There's a lot more going on in Caretaker. We deal with generational trauma, and in the supernatural, we call those generational curses, but in the mental health world, it's generational trauma. And so it's this idea of cycles. So that's what the Ouroboros is. And it's an ancient journal cover, and we're keeping that same theme for book two and book three. The book opens up in an ancient culture about 3,000 years ago, and we don't revisit that culture until the end of the book. And that's sort of a mystery that's been set. That's actually the main crux of the series that we dive deeper into in book two.
There's also a brass ring that the Ouroboros, the snake, is intertwined around. And when we were doing research for our cover and what we wanted to bring into it, um, this symbol kind of came together. It almost like in a dream. And then as Jason and I were bouncing back and forth what we wanted to incorporate, that brass ring also represents another fairly ancient culture. I wouldn't say as ancient as the Ouroboros, but I don't want to say what for it represents because it does talk about something in the story. But I think smart people who look at it might recognize it and might be able to pinpoint what it represents.
Oh, well, I cannot wait for the second book. I just cannot wait. I'm sure so many people are clamoring for it. And
I hope
it
so.
yes, yes. And so when we talk about the title, Caretaker, why did you decide that? And what's the meaning behind that?
There's a few layers to it. The most obvious is that in the book, when the family decides to purchase this dream home, one caveat is that it comes with a caretaker that lives on the property. His name is Marshall, and he's definitely the central character of the book. Um, but we were exploring the idea of what a caretaker means at that time. Part of the trauma that led us to write this is Rhonda was taking care of her mother in the last year of Lewy body dementia, and Rhonda was filling a role as caretaker. And so we were looking at the meaning of caretaker. There's a familial um, parental caretaking of children that's in the book. There's a caretaker of a home. There's caretaker as you're becoming sick, and we we explore the role of caretaker in various ways. It's so hard talking about a book like this without spoilers because there's so many. I feel like a politician here dancing around some facts, but yeah, it's we really wanted to explore the concept of caretaker, and the most obvious one in the book is that there's Marshall as the caretaker of the home, but it's actually so much deeper than that. There's familial caretaking and generational caretaking and illness caretaking.
There's also one that may not be quite as obvious, and that is a caretaker of history. And I think that plays into the deepest part of the secrets of the book.
I think it's such a treat that we get to dive into these aspects of the book that are otherwise not really known. And so
Mhm.
I'm so excited that we get to talk about this. And I know there's so many other symbols within the book. Is there one that you can share with us?
Without being blatant about the story, I would highly recommend if there's any of your listeners that have read the book or want to read the book and they love Easter eggs, this book is covered in Easter eggs because that's what Jason does best. I try to write like all the emotional and the family stuff, and Jason's really great about all of the mystery and lore and the Easter eggs. But one of the simple, I think, Easter eggs is names. Names mean so much to me and Jason, and so they are very important in this book. And if you discover the meaning of each of the names that we've used, they tell a little bit more of the story.
Ooh, so much more to dive into there. My goodness. Well, and I know earlier, and we from talks we've had before, that some of the stories based on true life events.
Mhm.
Is any of the mystical parts based on true life as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a chance to explore that on, you were our first talk radio program that we did, which we were very excited to do because that's the medium I consume most. I don't do audiobooks. I don't listen to music because I make a full-time living playing music. So I live on talk radio. So that was really exciting to use that medium. And we were able to go on to another national show that Coast to Coast, that was one of my favorites, that deals a lot with supernatural and explores some of those things. And people were surprised to find out that literally everything in the story is based on some fragment of truth, exaggerated, and some of the most fantastic things were actually based in reality. And that's hard to explain, but there's a shared dream sequence in the book that is something that actually happened with our children in a
Mhm.
home. Um, and this is Rhonda's area of expertise because I'm open to the metaphysical world, that there's more than what we see in the physical. But I'm happy for us to both exist in our own little separate lanes. The supernatural can hang out where they hang out, and I can hang out where I hang out, and I don't want to see any of it. And Rhonda is much more sensitive to how those things cross over.
Yes.
Rhonda, can you share a little bit about that with us?
I just, I don't know, through probably the past 10 years of our lives and our marriage and our family, we've been challenged with a lot of heavy stuff in life. And I don't think we're extraordinary from anybody else in this world. I don't know, maybe I'm just different in the sense of when I'm faced with something that seems so far-fetched and it just doesn't make sense, I will go after the answers. And usually those answers are not found in the physical. Usually those answers are found in the supernatural or the metaphysical. And so I'm not afraid to go and try to find some sort of answer, some sort of truth to stabilize my emotions and my just to stabilize me. Because life has hit us, pretty hard. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on the trauma that we've walked through, but we've dealt with my daughter having stage 4 cancer, to losing my mother to a horrific disease, to then losing Jason's mother. And then ultimately, this book was birthed out of we actually lost our home to a horrific flood. And most of all that I just mentioned happened in a 2-year period. And there's a whole lot more even added to that. And so when your foundation is shaken and you're like, what in the world is going on? I think I just asked my question. It's not in the world. It's out of this world. It's so supernatural. It's so fantastical that you're like, man, the answer is just it's not here where I can touch it. So I'm going to go after something else that's going to give me that truth to help stabilize myself because it was getting crazy.
Well, I think that's why so many people resonate with this book and your stories in general. It's because we're all going through our own trauma and we're all dealing with so much. And I have to tell you, the interview that we did where you talked about the spirituality behind the book really impacted me in such a profound way. Can you share a little bit about the spiritual path that you walked during this?
Yeah. So again, I'm I'm not normal. This is not like the rest of the world might find this a little weird, but I just go after these answers. And so what I do is I take some time to meditate and to listen. Um, I f- I am trying to tap into um, positive truth that's out there. I believe in good and bad. I believe in evil and righteousness. And I believe they both are very, very powerful. And I choose to listen to voices that speak truth, speak righteousness, speak healing. And that's what I pursue. And so I will take time to meditate and ask these questions of what is going on and what is happening and how can I walk this out with healing and funny thing is when Jason and I go and sign books for people, one of the things I write down is listen to the whispers because I do believe that truth is there. Truth is grounded in this earth. And I think all we have to do is quiet the noise and listen for that truth. And I think it will whisper to us. And so that's what I do. I try to quiet myself, take some time to meditate and pray, and I listen for the voice of truth. And that genuinely has led me into healing. These past 10 years has just been so dark and heavy. And I don't think that any physical human being has the ability to recover from kind of the world. The world these days is really hard. And so I think it's a added tool that I've put into my life that has brought me life and has brought me stability. And yeah, so I don't know, I just take time every day to listen to that truth and try to implement it into my life and try to walk in those truths. And I don't do it perfectly all the time, but I have seen when I pursue it, my life changes and more peace comes and more resolution in my anxiety and in my fears. And belief is a hard thing. I get it. And I'm sure that there are listeners out here going, "Oh my goodness, who is this crazy woman?" And I know it's hard. It's hard to step into that, but that is where I have found peace and healing in my life. And I think Jason can attest to it, even though he doesn't necessarily like it.
Well, it's interesting when people are going through their own dark night of the soul. A lot of times we'll reach out to whatever we can on a spiritual level that will help bring us some comfort or some rest from all of
Yes.
that. So while there might be some folks that are going, well, this is a little different, I'm sure a lot of people listening going, okay, I could probably relate to this and maybe use this practice as well as I'm moving forward through my own pain and grief and suffering.
I would hope so. I think Jason and I, as we were writing this story, it was healing us. And I think that evidence is in the book. And we chose very carefully of the stories we wanted to put in there. And the journey the family goes on is a journey of it's a heavy adventure, but it's also a fun adventure. And there's also healing in it. There's bonding and unity in it as well. So there's the harshness of the journey, but then there's hope at the end. And that was the whole point. And that's because in our lives, that's exactly what we were reflecting. Now, the story of the family in the book is not our stories. We were just able to heal through writing a fictional story. And in that process, I think we were able to deposit some of the truth and some of the hope that was happening in our lives at the same time of writing the book. So my hope is that as people are reading the book, that they would be able to tap into the hope that we've breathed into it. And I do believe that um, if anyone is brave enough to sit quietly and listen for the whispers, I think we've both written that in this book as well. And maybe someone will take some time to sit quietly and ask for the truth to be revealed. Because I do think that that's a whole nother level of the book if somebody's willing to go on that part of the adventure.
I could definitely get those themes throughout the book, especially from our conversations, but also in reading the book, you do get those themes. Are there some other themes in the book that you'd like to share with us?
Um, it's what's interesting is when we wrote the book, we had a lot of themes of family trauma, generational curses, what could happen in the physical and the metaphysical. And as we, like I said, when we were writing the book, it was more of a something to pour all of our energy and trauma into. And then when we were finished with the book, we found out that a lot of the truths the characters that unfolded in their lives were actually based on some real world science and some real world mental health. And what we did inadvertently was a process very similar to DBT therapy, where you process your trauma into external stories. Um, and one of the themes that emerges in the book is for people that are open to the idea of the metaphysical and the supernatural, at least in movies and stories and in life, there seems to be a pretty open people are open to the idea that supernatural can affect our world, like, in movies and ghost stories or things like that. The supernatural is always having an impact in our natural world. And one of the things we explore is, are we able to do things in the physical world that actually impact the supernatural world? Can that reverse? Like sort of like the Ouroboros can both feed each other. And, not that, I mean, this isn't the X-Files over here, but if it was, I'm the skeptic and Rhonda's Mulder and I'm Scully. And what's really exciting about the particular time we live in right now is science is catching up to a lot of these spiritual concepts, and we're realizing it just comes down to vocabulary, and science is catching up in ways, of the interconnectedness of all of us down to the atomic or the molecular level. And we've learned that whether you call it prayer or meditation, that actually has an impact on your actual cells, et cetera. So we explore those themes in the book. But what was interesting is, as we write this is all just conceptual at this point, and we're writing this story, and we're hoping that people, including us, learn from these characters. And for me, what's interesting is when you write a story, now I'm almost scared about what we write next, because it seems like everything we've written, now we're called to live it out, and we're tested on these concepts that we're learning. And so what that means for me is, like, I didn't tell you at the time, and we weren't public with it, but we went public about a year ago. But after we finished book one, before it came out, I was diagnosed with a very rare cancer. And just so we put all our energy into just getting this book out, because we didn't know how much time we were going to have to pursue this. And one of the first things that we decided is, can we put some of these truths here? Are there some things that we can do in the physical that could affect the metaphysical? And, Rhonda, in her first interview with you, talked a lot about words and how words matter and names matter, et cetera. And so we started putting some of those things into practice with my cancer. What we call things, the words, how we, can we interject into our cells? Can we get our cells to listen to us as we meditate and pray? And I'm happy to say, for us, I think the answer is yes, because we're coming up on 2 years, and I'm being declared cancer-free. And that was a incredible journey, that I don't think it's a coincidence that we put this book out before that started, because then we use these same tools that we learned through our characters to help us process this new trauma.
Well, congratulations on being 2 years cancer-free. I mean, what a journey you've been on. And
Yes.
I had no idea when we were talking, and that just shows how many people go through such difficult times that a lot of times other people have no idea what they're going through.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, and with both of you are extremely busy. And I can't even imagine how you can even work on a book together in the way that you have. Can you share how that works?
Yeah.
It is challenging, but gosh, I don't think Jason and I do anything easy either. But I will say the sacrifice of the challenge puts out something what we feel is really great for us. So Jason does have a full-time job playing music, and he's on TV, and he spends like 80% of his time, if not more, in New York. And our permanent residence is in Nashville. And like I mentioned before, we had our home flooded and destroyed, and we are almost finished rebuilding. We're just a few months out of finally being able to move in, and we've been without our home for 4 years now. And so I've been staying in Nashville a lot. So with that separation, and Jason's job is high demand, high stress. So throw all of that in of me helping build a house and his high stress job, and then living apart. It's not easy. And we do make sure that one of us gets to the other at least every weekend, if not every other weekend, to make it work. But in the in-between times, we actually email each other our ideas, or we'll call each other, hey, I was thinking about this, and this is, this came to my mind. And, and I tend to do all the necessary writing. Jason is a huge dreamer, and he just doesn't have the time. It's not that he can't and that he won't. It's just he doesn't have the time, but he can't stop the dreaming, which I love. And so he'll voice memo, or he'll email, or he'll call me. and he just dumps it. And I love it because then I can take that and I have the freedom to add in my creativity with it. And then I craft something and then I send it back to him. And I'm like, is this what you were thinking? Did you like what I added? And I try to get as much feedback. And we just go back and forth until we're both like, yes, that's it. And if for book two, because we just finished it in June and we're scrambling to get everything done in time to get it out by November. But I was in New York. He was finishing the end of his season for the show, and I was in New York because it was his birthday. And um, I think I flew in on a Saturday, and that following Sunday, we just actually had time off. And so we started talking about the book, and we sat in the apartment for felt like hours. And it was the one chapter left of the book. It was the climax. And we were just, trying to dream up how are we going to do this? What's the story we're wanting to tell, and how do we do this? And it was just magical when we get into a room. And I actually love that because it is harder to do it through email. But man, when we got into the room together, just talking to each other and dreaming out loud and bouncing these words off of each other. And he's pacing the room and I'm typing as fast as I can because he's talking so fast. And so that's really, really rare. But that is a magical moment when we get to actually collaborate in the same room together. And I am so thrilled with how that came out. I cannot wait for you and all the listeners to read book two, because that was a fun chapter to write.
Oh my goodness. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I keep saying that. So,
I'm sure we can find you a pre-release.
I'll take it. The one thing I do want to dive into is the audiobook. Oh my God. What a great audiobook. I know you have a star-studded cast for this book. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, it was whenever we released Caretaker, the first question we got from most people was, well, when's the audiobook coming out? And to be honest, hadn't even considered an audiobook because I don't usually consume that medium. And so I started doing some research, and I decided that for this story, we had to go multicast. I didn't want just a narrator narrating all the voices that I wanted to hear in my head. So I put together a dream list of every actor that I thought would play these voices for various reasons. Some actors had a huge impact on our lives, and some through their mediums and through the television shows, they were just impactful at certain moments in our life. And I put together our dream list and reached out. We had no relationships with most of these people, and we reached out through agents, and everybody who said, well, they'll have to read the book first. And everybody said yes. And so we put together an audiobook. We have Henry Ian Cusick from Lost, who played Desmond on Lost. He was also in The 100. We have Eric Avari from The Mummy and Mr. Deeds and The Chosen. We have Michael Shanks from the Stargate franchise, which was one of our favorite sci-fi series with our family. We have Amy Grant plays Liana. We have Haley Arantia from The Goldbergs. And we have Brandon Ingman. We have Charles Eston from TV show Nashville and Outer Banks. And of course, we have my boss, Kelly Clarkson. We gave her the least amount of lines so that we didn't intrude on her schedule, which is 10 times busier than mine. And she plays Kelly, the realtor. And hopefully I'm not leaving anybody out, but that's the cast. And we have Joe Trapanese, who scored, most people would know him from The Greatest Showman or Tron Legacy or Straight Outta Compton. And he did an original score for it. And then we hired some of the best in Hollywood to do our sound effects and Foley. So it's a fully immersive listening experience.
One of our fans and followers gave us a review that said it's a movie for your ears. And I just laughed. I loved that so much. So that's what we've been saying. If you have a creative imagination, or I guess even if you don't, we've kind of fed it to you. Just close your eyes, put those headphones on, and you'll see the movie in your head with all of these voices. We're so proud of it.
Oh, yeah, and you should be. I mean, it is a movie for your ears. It's so phenomenal. And you did something that most people don't do. I mean, you really casted this audiobook in a way where it's not just filled with these amazing characters that you have in your book, but then you bring in this amazing cast to go ahead and voice it. I mean, what a remarkable audiobook.
It was actually it was fun and hard. But to me, the fun part was when we stepped into it and started recording these voices. Just about everyone we've listed to you, most of them are actors. A few of them are musicians, but most of them are actors. And oh my gosh, like we've been in the entertainment business for 30 years now. And so we've been around it for a long time and we've had a lot of experience. But being up close and personal and watching each person with their skill and with their craft work with us on a personal level on something that we created, and then watching them craft these characters through their own experiences brought a whole new life to these characters that I wasn't prepared for. These characters live in my mind, they live in Jason's mind, and we kind of think we know them. But then having someone else tell your story with their life experiences and the inflections that they would put on a word or an emphasis would just change the whole scenery or the whole picture for us. And oh my goodness, it was a powerful experience for me. And I totally get why these people are actors. They're brilliant.
Well, it's fascinating, the story. I hate that we're always so cryptic about things, but it's been a little purposeful when you're telling allegory or using metaphor. So many things are up for interpretation based on your personal lens. And so watching these actors enact scenes through their personal experience, it actually changed. We had to go back and rewrite some of book two because some of our actors brought some incredible real life experiences and how they interpreted the caretaker or how they interpreted certain scenes that it actually has now informed book two, which brings us back to the Ouroboros. It's the snake eating
Mhm.
its tail. It's like we created something, they enacted it out, then they created something, and now it's coming back and it's changing what we're creating next.
Well, they definitely brought their A game to the audiobook. I mean, it's something I've listened to multiple times. I love listening to it when I'm just doing long drives
Mm.
because
Oh,
I mean, it's just great to hear it. They're just so good at it.
well, we're very proud. And what I love to say is every actor has come back and said, okay, so when's book two? And I look at Jason because honestly, Jason did all the heavy lifting on this one. I tried to fill in the gaps, production and recording and voiceover work and stuff like that. That's not my thing. I'm more on the business side. Um, Jason's the creative, he's the recorder, he knows how to work a studio. And so there were many times I had to step in as a producer, which was challenging, but also fun. But Jason did the hard work of all the editing, all the creative bits of choosing the right lines, because every actor would give us like 5 options for each line. Well, then when you have a family of 4, let's just start with that. There's a whole nother cast, but let's start with the family of 4, and they each give you 5 lines, and then you have to pick, this one fit this line with this character and that's speaking to the other character. And, it was just a giant puzzle. And Jason took all of that on. And so now when everybody's like, okay, so when do we get to start book two? And Jason's eyes just get glazed over. He's like, I'm not ready for that. It is in the plans. I just think right now what we want to do is we want to finish the trilogy. So we've finished book two and we've actually already started book three. So we want to get it finished. And then I think we will pick up the weight of doing another. Basically, we call it a radio play. Back in the 40s, the 1940s, they used to do this all the time live on radio with, sound effects in the room. And we just have a better way of recording it now. But that's a huge, huge undertaking. And so I think we want to give it all that we've got. But right now we're so focused on finishing this trilogy and then being able to bring the audio version back to the world. It's on our plate. We will do it.
Well, they say Rome wasn't built in a day, but you guys sure are making a run for it, I'll tell you. You know? Oh
I
my
think we're
goodness.
also learning to tell each other, no, not right now.
Well, and so let's talk about the soundtrack for Caretaker. I mean, you have some remarkable music.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, Joe Trapanese, he composed some custom themes for our story based and we had to give him a lot of information that the reader doesn't have. So there's actually Easter eggs implanted in the music itself. But one thing that I'm particularly proud of and excited that happened was after reading our book, a incredible songwriter friend of ours, Jill Pickering, she wrote a song that was inspired by her read of the book, and it's called Home. And the song really encapsulates the story we're trying to tell in the book. And as soon as I heard it, well, in the book, Liana, the mother of the family, she's actually a songwriter and a singer, not by profession, but it's part of her passion and what she's done with her life. And of course, we had Amy Grant playing Liana, and I thought, well, it doesn't hurt to ask. And so we asked Amy if she would sing the song originally as Liana, and then Amy said yes, and then as we do, we decided to go full out with it. So we did a full on pop version of the song with Amy, and then we did a separate version, more singer songwriter like Liana is in the book. So yeah, we if you download the book, you actually there's a song embedded in it, and then we release the song separately. And super proud of the song and the performance, and it does a much better job of encapsulating our story than I can possibly do.
Wasn't that song up for a Grammy too?
The song, well, actually, the nominations are happening right now. So I don't know that the song would be nominated, but we are in the process of trying to get the audiobook nominated for a Grammy. That would be, man, I don't even know. I don't even have words for it. If we even got nominated for a Grammy, that would just be overwhelmingly beautiful. I don't know. Who knows? Anybody listening out there, vote for it.
You got my vote. I keep seeing Grammy in the future here for it, so I'll put that out there.
I hope so. That would be just a huge, huge honor. And honestly, more for Jason. Like this is his world. These are his co-workers in the music industry, and this is his field. And so to be honored in his industry would just make me so, so proud. And I think he deserves it.
Well, without a doubt. I mean, it's just such a phenomenal audiobook, and I can't wait for the next book. And I'm just going to keep saying that. Do you know if this series at some point will be optioned into a film?
We're in the process of working on our vision for it is a series. We think it's at least a 3-season story, and so it's the type of story that we want to tell with a little bit of a slower pace and over more time than we could accomplish in a film. But certainly we'd be open to it. But yes, we've had a script written for a pilot, and we're in the process of meeting the right people and trying to pitch the story. So yeah, we're very excited about that, which is why we need to get this trilogy finished.
Yes.
Well, lots of exciting things happening. What would you like readers and our listeners to take away from Caretaker?
I would say the number one thing that when Jason and I closed our laptops and we were like, oh my gosh, we did it. We're first time authors. We're from the music industry. It was not even a dream in my horizons that I'd ever talked about becoming an author, but we both felt compelled to go in this direction. And it was very scary. It was something that it was probably one of the hardest things for me to do. I am dyslexic. And so I had a lot of doubt that I could even accomplish anything like this. But Jason and I just kept pushing through and kept pushing through because we genuinely believed in our story. So what I would like for people to take away from our book, Caretaker, is hope, first of all. And second of all, dreams can come true when you put your feet towards your belief. So what I mean by put your feet towards your belief is Jason and I truly believed in this story. So we put our feet in action to continue on a daily basis to walk towards that, whatever it looked like. Were we stalled multiple times? Yes. But we would pick ourselves back up and continue to walk towards that dream, no matter how hard it was. And sometimes hard is good. And I think that's hard for society to understand. Hard doesn't mean bad. Hard can mean good. Hard means you're refining. Hard means you're growing. And I can honestly say I am such a different person than I was when I was writing the book. I have found a piece of me that I didn't know existed. I have found a confidence that I have lacked my entire life. And I have found joy in the depth of my sorrows. So if I can leave anything with anyone, even though it's hard, keep walking out what you believe. You will accomplish it. And there's hope in that. And let that hope be the thing that drives you forward.
And for me, I would hope that if somebody's reading our story, we've created some beautiful characters. They've been on an incredible journey. And our trauma is by no means unique. Trauma is universal. And so the things that our characters experience, every single reader will see a little bit of themselves in that. And I'm hoping this book will encourage the reader to consider, in the midst of your trauma, that perhaps there's more than one way to address that, to not accept the words that are spoken over you, to not accept the truths that have been declared, and not accept, I think you'll see through our characters that the problems that they're faced with, there's some non-conventional approaches to working through them. And I hope that expands the reader's mind to consider some other options when they're facing their own traumas.
Mhm.
I think that's such wise, just insight for people, especially now. Well, where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community and learn more about Caretaker?
You could go to rjhalbert.com and you can connect to us through our email list. Anybody who's given us their email, first of all, we do our best to not spam you, but we do give you hints and insights and information that the rest of the public, like on social media and stuff like that, that don't get. So if you're someone who likes all the Easter eggs and likes the inside stories that we're not revealing to the public, then give us your email and you can join our community that way.
And our most active community is on Instagram and Facebook. And so you can find us at RJ Halbert, and there's a little bit more of a daily interaction there. And that's the best way to keep up with all the things we're doing.
Well, Rhonda and Jason, thank you both so much for taking the time to be on the show with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
It's always a
thank you
pleasure.
for inviting us.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you, Rhonda and Jason. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about Caretaker, not just the book, but the audiobook. To learn more about the book and to be part of their community, visit rjhalbert.com. There you can also purchase both the book and audiobook, which I highly suggest. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Mary Ann is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Mary Ann will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmaryann.com for more information.